How's it going, YouTube? Down here. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the one block that prevents most people from getting through tutorial hell into a competent software developer that can develop production level apps. So the reason for making this video is I recently hopped off a call with a mentor of mine who mentors me in iOS development, stuff like that, and I just ask him a bunch of questions and he answers them. And one of the topics that came up during this conversation was, I feel like there's a gap between, people who are tutorial developers. They watch Udemy tutorials and they watch, all these tutorials and whatnot. They can build, these small projects, but, how do you get to the point where you're competent as a developer such that you can work on production level apps without actually working on production level apps? Because here's the reality. So unless you have experience with production level apps, then it's going to be really, really difficult for you to actually, be competent enough to actually get to that point. But he gave me a lot of tidbits of advice that I just wanted to share on here for free for you guys so that you can benefit from it when you're learning how to code and you want to get to that next step, and you can show these employers that, look, I can build production level apps, I can work on production level apps, I can navigate a big code base, and this is why you should hire me, right? So here are the insights that I learned through my experience with my coding mentor. So the first thing is, in order for you to learn or operate with production level apps, is you have to know how to know exactly what they're looking for, right? And how it's done. So what do I mean by this? What I mean by this is, what you want to do is you want to take a look at already existing production level apps, and you want to just familiarize yourself with these production level apps and seeing what the pull requests are that people are making, why they're doing such thing, how the comments are being made, what the functions actually look like. And I can show you this in depth in a future video if you want. Leave me a comment if you want something like that in the future. That would be helpful. So you want to get yourself used to it. You want to see, want to analyze when you're doing your Udemy tutorial, when you're doing your when you're building your own small project. What you want to do is you want to compare and contrast between your code and their code. What are they doing differently? Maybe, for example, you're using very vague variable names, for example, and in these production level apps, they're using very verbose and very specific variable names. So, for example, let's just say instead of calling your variables NW or network manager, you actually name it as network manager so that other people can understand it. Another thing you could do is you could look at the comments and say, what kind of comments are they leaving these? It's like, and if you notice on these production level apps, you'll see that the comments are very specific on what exactly does this functionality actually do. And it's only the case when you run into, things that are very vague, in terms of you can't just look at the code and understand it. You kind of need some more context, and that's where the comments come in. So take a look at how their comments are being done, and then take your Udemy app, take your tutorial app, and then see how you can change it such that it's more production level. So as you start to go and you start to take a look at and familiarize yourselves with these production level apps, then you're going to know exactly how to implement them for your own ones. And I think, especially when you're doing a take-home project for a company and you display these things, it's going to really do you well to getting yourself to the next step, because most of the time when you're doing these take-home projects, the app they're going to ask you to build, or the website they're going to ask you to build, is pretty vague and pretty out there in terms of they don't give you too much direction. So one of the things that you can display when you're doing these take-home projects is, that I can build production level code. I can have attention to detail. My lining is consistent. That was another thing that came up during that call was, he was reviewing one of my take-home projects and noticed that, some of the spacing was inconsistent, and that was something that, he would have nitpicked. It wasn't a big deal, but overall it was something that would have contributed to his decision, right? So that was just a short video on some of the insights that I gained from that experience working with my coding mentor. If you found these videos helpful, don't forget to hit like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.